Welcome everybody to the Red G Fox channel. Yes, I'm wearing my, as close as I can get, Big Money grip. You can see the photo right here. This is so exciting. You know, when we started this channel, I've already mentioned how pumped I was to get to season 3, right? We love season 2. Season 1 is a classic, so it's nothing against those. But season 3 has these episodes, especially back-to-back weeks. We got the #1 rated episode in the all-time history of Sanford and Son, and it's got to be voted most popular, in my opinion. A lot of times when we go through the other polls and comments, Mama's baby, Pop, as Grady says. What is it, Grady?
Well, you know what they say, Fred. Mama's baby, Papa's maybe.
Yes, Mama's baby, Papa's maybe. This has everything from tears, emotional tears for the good side, comedy, just straight up anger, right? Anger and Big Money grip. And we just get it's just such a well-written episode, such a well-acted episode. And we got some fun facts, one familiar face today, as we know we'll get to the actor who plays Big Money grip. We've actually already did a video just based on him alone. So that's how impactful he was, and some other things about him. So hopefully you stay tuned, as we will have clips. We will have interesting facts, and then we're just gonna bust up and laugh on some of the best scenes ever. What's a dilly-dally? So I'm very excited, as you can see. It's all week, and we've done this in the past where we go, hey, this is Achu week, and then we teach you everything about Pat Morita, about the character. We did Grady week, you know, and soon we'll have Julio. Like, we're gonna do every character throughout the year, give them their own time, their own attention. This is Mama's baby, Papa's maybe week. All week, it's gonna be shorts, trivia, comic strip type posts, and this is the main event, this episode as well. I'm so curious, what am I going to do for Friday's show? Whatever it is, it's going to be based on Mama's baby, Papa's maybe. So let's get right to it. Right now, the summary, it's basically, we know Big Money grip, he's an old buddy back from St. Louis, and he's moving to town. Grady says it himself, hey, he's here. Fred's pumped to see him, but he's got a new message to deliver to everybody he's been holding back all these years. And that is Lamont Sanford is his son. And Fred doesn't know how to handle this. He doesn't believe it. But there's one person he can get in his corner, and that is his greatest enemy, right? The enemy of my enemy is my friend. And on that strategy, it works, as Fred brings Esther into this to try to get some backup, and they do a great double team on Big Money grip. And then we finally get to the details at the very end. What's going on? Why do you say this, Big Money grip? So that is the summary on this one. Such a well-written, and just the story alone, when you hear that, you're like, yeah, it's pretty good. This seems like this could be pretty funny. And especially in a day and age where you have a lot of DNA to try to disprove things. But Lamont doesn't even care about the DNA. That's one of the most great, that's my all-time favorite scene. We'll get to that later on. So let's get to familiar faces. All right, on our familiar faces, we just got one today. And that is none other than the great Sonny Jim Gaines. He plays Big Money grip. He also appeared another time in Sanford and Son. Season 6, I want to say, when Fred goes the big winning streak, and he bottom of the deck Dan. He's a poker player. At least this one they call him bottom of the deck Dan, but he appears to be on the level when he plays. And then I love the fact that when he beats him, Fred bluffs him at the end, and Bubba's like, "Look, you could have won." And he's so cool in that one too. He's like, "Take your top, Mr. Lucky." So he's always a cool character, and he does make another appearance with his. Now he's a police officer, right? You look at it and you go, "Hey, did Big Money grip become a bailiff for the courthouse?" You know, after he left Fred, right? He moved back to the neighborhood. But he makes an appearance in the show Sanford called Jury Duty, when Fred does jury duty. He's in that for a little bit. So we know he's probably a buddy of Red Fox for life, and he made multiple appearances in series history. So what else did he do? Man, he only did total, I want to say somewhere in the 20s. Yeah, just a little over like in the 20s of movies and shows. But listen to some of the actors he's been with and some of the movies. Before that, he passed away in 2006 at the age of 78. But he appeared alongside of Muhammad Ali in Freedom Road. He did that, so you're with Muhammad Ali. I mean, that right there, the greatest boxer of all time, most likely. He did Death of a Prophet, starring Morgan Freeman, about Malcolm X. Then he would go on to be with Denzel Washington in the movie Malcolm X. So you're taking some elite movies and actors, and even fighters that he's been with. He also starred in a few movies with Eddie Murphy, and he did 21 total movies and shows, and he starred with some of the best actors, including a great fighter. But one main thing about Big Money Grip, not the actor himself, Sonny Jim Gaines, is that in our channel, we have all sorts of tournaments all the time. Go check out our community poll. Right now, you'll see we're doing the best TV and movie vehicle. Sanford and Son's truck has moved on. Someone mentioned too the other day, they're like, why are you doing this? I love your channel, but this has nothing to do with Sanford and Son. Well, we started this whole little tournament based on the fact that when I brought up the truck and made a short on it, someone mentioned, they're like, dude, that's not even a top 20 all-time TV truck. Like, it's not that big. Like, obviously he's not a Sanford and Son fan. And I said, I beg to differ. I bet if we ask fans, it might not be number 1, but I guarantee you it's top 20. The fact that it already beat out several other good cars to make it to the semifinals, I've proven my point. But we get all sorts of polls. Big Money Grip won the best one-and-done appearance character in history. So basically, we took all the characters who came in just for one time, including Sonny Cochran, who will be on next week's episode. I can't believe we're going to be doing that as well. I'm pumped. Back-to-back weeks, Fred Legal Eagle and Mama's Baby are like the Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson of the two, of NBA. Just like, wow, oh my gosh. And LeBron James, if you want to throw him in there. I don't dislike him. But back to this. So yeah, he won that tournament. He came out as the number 1, and I think it has to do with the fact that he was such a great character, and his episode is possibly the greatest episode in series history. So that is it with familiar faces. Let's get to the fun facts. Only a few today. Yes, all right. Fun fact number 1, just a quick one. E&J Gallo, their brand, they have 2 drinks from their brand in this, and of course, number 1 being Ripple. He likes to mix it with cream, and you get Ripple. Or straight. I remember Grady's like, just give me straight Ripple, and he calls it Stripple. So Ripple and also Cold Duck, both drinks that were very popular in this time in the 70s. I don't know about Cold Duck. If you know, comment below. Is that still around? Ripple's not. I've always wanted to try Ripple, and I'm unable to try it. So very disappointed that I can't. It's been discontinued for years. But those are the 2 drinks from that company, in case you did not know. The next one, this is one a lot of fans do catch, and I didn't catch it the first few times I remember ever watching this. Years later, I did. But when Big Money Grip leaves the house, you can see right here, he actually walks by the back way when Lamont and Fred are talking. You see someone walk through. I've actually, when I looked this fact up, some people just thought it was just a person in the background. They didn't even realize that it's Big Money Grip actually leaving. And you're like, did he do this intentionally? Was he told, hey, go this way, and it looks like he's leaving? Because he's going out the back way of the house. Or did he just think, hey, I'm off set? Either way, it's pretty funny because it's not too often we ever see somebody walk behind there. So that is it with fun facts. I wish there was some more. This is such a great episode, but there was nothing else that really was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know I needed, this is something we all need to know about. But let's get to the best part, the breakdown.
Grim said your son is his son.
So right off the bat, Grady comes by. Fred is working for the day, and Grady comes in, and you can tell right away he's nervous. He's nervous, he's looking around, and he just looks so jumpy like a police officer's chasing him. And Fred even calls him on it. He's like, what's your problem? You're making me nervous. And he's like, let's have a drink of something, right? And so that's when he mentions, let's have some Ripple, Cripple. Either way, he takes a drink, and he wants to know what's going on. So what does Grady say?
Matlock's oldest son, Grip.
Big Money Grip. He used to be one of my best friends.
Yes, Big Money Grip's back in town. He's telling Fred, hey, you know what, he's here. And he has a special message he wants to deliver. There's a reason he came here, to be closer to his son. And Fred's like, hey, I didn't even know he had a son. Now Grady has a hard time saying it. Then he can't remember the son's name, and he has to ask Fred a question real quick.
What's your son's name?
Lamont.
Yeah, that's it.
I told that. What's your son's name? Oh man, that's so great that we're such good buddies that he named his kid after the same kid I did. But Grady's like, no. That's not the case. That's not the case. So he's about to tell him, and I love that. I love when Grady's so good in this. Isn't it crazy too? Crazy Grady. Remember, he even says, I should call you Nutty Grady. But Grady we just saw him with Wine and Women last week. You saw him at the beginning. I think he was in a couple episodes to start season 3. But it wasn't wide load. It was when Fred was in the hospital and he stopped by. It was where Fred was sitting downstairs where he had the 8-day-old collard greens, and he stopped by and they introduced him slowly. We got a new friend here, new character, and then the last month they are just Grady, and Grady's getting big time jokes. He's only in the beginning here, but he's so impactful that anytime you think of this episode, as we're going through the clips here, you're going to see why Grady, and it sets up great for when he does take over, because it would have been hard if you had just had Grady, the small things, and then all of a sudden, hey, Fred's out of town, Grady, you jump in, you'd be like, we barely know. It's like Otis Littlejohn, if he came to take over, you'd be like, He's got Grady now is so impactful and so funny. The fans are loving him. So I think that's what sets it up to make it be successful. And speaking of Grady, go check our latest video we just did on Sunday called Why the Grady Show Failed and What Could They Have Done to Make It Successful. You know, just a 5-minute movie on what my personal take is on the show, and I believe how it could have been a huge success, what the writers or what the producers could have done, and they did fumble the ball on that. So anyways, back to this. Grady's like, I got to tell you. And then he can't tell him. But Fred's going to get an answer one way or another. Let's see what Fred does.
Yes, Fred.
You can't, huh? Look at Grady. What is that he said?
He's got it. Grady finally tells him, you know, and then Fred's like, what? And Fred is pissed. And the fact that Grady has to grab the bat, right? And he's like, no, don't. I'm not going to tell you again. Give me that bat. No way. And the fact that he's like, no way that this could be. How is he going to be the dummy's father when I'm the dummy's father? So Fred doesn't believe it. He thinks, hey, you know, this is probably one of Grip Matlock's jokes, right? You know, and he's known for that. They paint a good picture of this guy as kind of you know, like a lot of us who have had friends who kind of maybe take it a little too far with the jokes here and there. And that's what Grip sounds like. So Grip shows up, and now Grady sees it, and he's like, don't tell him. And I love it. Fred believes it's a joke so much, Grady's like, don't tell him I told you anything. And Fred tells him right away, oh, Grady told me what you said. If I was Grady, I'd be like, damn you, Fred, can you shut up? Not sell me out like that. But Big Money Grip comes in, and we have to see the introduction to the most popular character in show history. Let's look at it.
Have no fear, Big Money Grip is here.
Big Money
Yes,
Grip
and then he even offers him a cigar. And Fred's like, I ain't falling for that El Bamo. So the fact that he kept it, he didn't say, oh no, it's a real cigar. He knew, hey, you know what, it was an exploding cigar. Fred didn't fall for it. So Grip still is doing the jokes. But he's got the cold duck. I love how he does that. He's like that. Yeah, you see why people love Grip. He reminds me of like maybe an older Rollo, right? Everybody loves Rollo. Cool guy, got the looks, got the voice, got the talent. And Big Money Grip is like a senior citizen Rollo, right, when it comes to this. So he comes in, and now they're going to hang out, relax, pop open the drink, and that's when Fred's like, you know, Lamont told me, or Grady told me what you said. It's a joke, huh? You used to like to do it. But I love when they're talking about back in the day when they spiked the Reverend's drink at church, and what is Fred's thought on that?
Church, when I switched to communion grape juice for real wine.
Yeah. and that old greedy preacher got so carried away, he had to be carried away.
He didn't know his top from his bottom. So I love that, like I said, they're telling us, hey man, this guy's a joke, a prankster. But he goes, no, Lamont is my son. He says for real. And he tells him straight up. He doesn't sugarcoat it. That's what you got to give respect for that. At least he didn't try to play some games. He said, no, I ain't joking, I'm serious. And Fred's like, what? He's like, I am Lamont's father. And he says it like you know, hey man, I ain't coming here to just make money or blackmail. I'm coming here to see my son. And all these years, think about Big Money Grip. All these years living with this, thinking he is Lamont's father. Spoiler alert, if you've never seen this, go right now on Peacock, go on Amazon. You gotta watch this episode. Gotta watch this episode, because I can't do it justice. I'm doing the best I can to laugh and just talk with other fans. Like I said, it's always an alternative. We've all seen it, the diehard fans, and I can't show the episode because it'd be copyrighted. So we just talk about it and have a laugh and maybe try to learn something new about it. But if you haven't seen it, get over there and watch it. Odds are you're not watching my channel if you haven't seen it already. So with Big Money Grip, he sits there, and then that's when Fred and Grady echoes everything. Let's see what Fred says. How is it going to be? How, Big Money Grip? How could you be Lamont's father?
That's impossible. In order for Lamont to be your son, that would mean that you and Elizabeth would have to, let's have another drink.
The fact that Fred says it, and I love it. It's so great way to bust Grady into this, right? Because he starts echoing everything, but he's all, yeah, when he says it, he's like, in order for him to be Lamont's father, you mean you and Elizabeth let's have another drink. Right here, Grady reminds me of one of my dad's old alcoholic friends, where they would drink. He'd always bring anytime he'd bring beer, he would bring 6 just for him and then take yours. He would never come and bring a bunch for everyone. Or he would come with 1 for him and then take yours. In this one, Grady usually doesn't, but he comes here and he's just drinking it. I mean, he's had more cold duck or whatever they're drinking, Ripple, than anyone else there. Because I think he's really nervous for this. Fred doesn't seem to be as nervous as Grady. So he's echoing it, and Fred's like, no, man, he ain't. Let me show you. I got a picture of this. So he gets up there. He's got the photo album, as you can see right here. And he's basically saying, and this is another fact, right? We didn't really break it as a fun fact. But it's cool to go, they're painting a great picture that now we know Grady just ain't a friend, right? We know he's been friends with Bubba since he's moved to LA for many years. And we learn that even more with B.B. King when he says, I know Fred since he moved out here with Elizabeth, right? And then that's when the light goes off in that episode in season 6. But we know that there's no other friend that's been around since St. Louis until we finally get to hear that Grady. He's like, you were there when Lamont was born, right? So we know he knows him from St. Louis. He was there at Lamont's birth. Lucas. Grady can never get the name right. But yeah, he was there. And so he gets the photo album and he shows it. And I love when he's like, see, look at that picture. Now you know Grady, who does Lamont look like? Who does he look like?
See, now, Grady, you remember when Lamont was born. Now, you tell me, who does he look like?
Yeah, he looks just like you, Grip.
Oh, Grady. Grady's so funny when he says that. The way he just does it, it's like I'm going to try to imitate it, but he's like, oh yeah, he looks just like you, Grip. The fact that he says it and you feel like, hey, I was watching this again with my son the other day. He hasn't seen this one, right? And I mean, he's seen parts, but he never seen the whole thing through, and he loved it. But I told him, I go, you got to watch this, dude. I know you watch some with me. Sometimes you're busy. I go, you got it. My oldest son, I go, you got to watch this one with me. You're going to die. And he loved it. He said it is really good. But he was even laughing at that. He's like, hey, isn't Grady supposed to be Fred's friend? He's supposed to be sticking up for him and helping him. And he's not. He's not doing, he's just, he looks just like you, Grip. So Fred gets so pissed. He's like, shut up, Grady. And that's when Lamont comes in. And now Lamont walks in and it gets all quiet, right? Because we know that what they're, you know how it is. You're talking about someone and now you're thinking, how do we play it off? And they can't. And Lamont's like, hey, what's going on? And then he's like, that must be little Lamont. And he walks to him and he's trying to say, you know, hey, you remember me? And he's like, I don't remember. And Fred's like, yeah, see, he don't even remember you. He didn't say that out loud, but you know, he's thinking, you ain't his dad. He don't even remember you, dude. And he's talking about the mustache, and Fred says he's had it since 7th grade. But he finally talks him into it. He said, remember me? And then let's see some of the things he does to jog his
Give you money to go to the store for me? I used to let you read my girly magazines. Remember? Whiz bang, smoke.
Yeah, so I love when he does. We do the little dance. Look at my girly magazines. So he's got a surprise for him all the way in St. Louis, and he wants to go give it to him. And if you watch Grip when he walks outside, he kind of leans in towards Fred like, ha, he's got that smile. Because remember, in Grip Eyes, this isn't something where you are not, you know, we wish we had Maury Povich on this, right? Can you imagine? Man, I need to find some way to edit a video. I need to do that. I think I'm going to do that. If you've watched the song in the video, let me know, should I do that? Work a video with Big Money Grip, Fred Sanford, and Maury Povich, where I kind of edit the video together. That would be so fun. I should do that. So anyways, maybe that'll be Friday's video. But they don't have nothing like that. So he's thinking in my mind, look, I know I hooked up with Elizabeth. I know I did. And it was so close to where you probably ended up getting Elizabeth pregnant, so he feels like he's the father. So he goes outside, and now Fred's like, man, I'm sorry, I'm sweating. But he comes in, he's like, man, this can't be true, right? This can't be true. And then he's looking up, and you can see right here in the picture, Fred's looking up at Elizabeth. He's like, Elizabeth, it's what he's saying is not true, right, honey? And then this is the last scene with Grady, but we got to see the clip when he looks up, and what does he say to Fred?
Is it Elizabeth? What's he say, Fred?
Oh my gosh. That is so good, man. The fact that Grady's just like staring and taking. We never see Grady. We see Bubba and Esther have fake heart attacks. We see Lamont. We never get the fake heart attack from Grady, but we do get him looking and going, hey, what'd you say, Fred? So Grady's out of there. That's a great scene. I mean, this right here, everything we've done is already killing me. A lot of it was Grady, but Fred's pretty good too. Big Money Grip is cool. So we now know Big Money is a comedian. He's slick. He can hook up with chicks, and he might even been the first one to hook up with Elizabeth. And then we see Fred is pissed, a little nervous, right? He's even talking to Elizabeth. And Grady is the echo chamber, right? He's echoing everything Fred said. It said Big Money Grip. That's Lamont looks like you, and now he's asking him. So Grady gets great scenes in here. Now Grady's out of there. When we come back, now it's Fred totally making a great meal, right? Chicken noodle soup for Lamont, and he's trying to enjoy it. And I love Fred. He's all smacking his fingers after he just made the food. Now he's staring at him, right? He keeps looking at him. Lamont's like, hey, you're making me feel uncomfortable, Pop. You know, you made me this good meal. Can I eat it? And he's like, all right, I'll walk away. But he does it again on the other side. You can see right there in the picture. He's on the other side of him. And he's like, man, I'm trying to eat this chicken noodle soup. Can you stop? And there's a knock at the door. But right before he leaves, Fred says something. And he's a little insecure now. And he wants to be reassured by his son.
Pop all day.
Would you see who that is, Pop? I sure would appreciate it, Pop. Thank you very much, Pop.
I love Lamont. He goes, all right, Pop. And he's all, thanks, son. All right, son. So even these little side scenes, that's why I said, it's so crazy that this gets an 8. I'm sorry, I didn't tell you our channel's official. 9.9. I am through the roof. I mean, I would give it a 10, but no episode to me can be perfect. There's always something where it might be slow, or maybe they didn't get Leroy's, the right character's not in. But to me, and I'm tearing up because how funny this is, this is a 9.9. This is as good as it gets. It's 8.7, and I just don't see why fans wouldn't. What's holding you back? Like, this has everything. Even these side scenes are when he said, okay, son, all right, son, and you got to hear Pop. And now we're going to get Aunt Esther at the door. But as a fan of this, if you're this deep into it, comment. What is your rating? Should it be in the 9s at least? Because you're telling me right now, 8.2 was last week's. Wine, Women, and Esther. And I mentioned how, for an 8.2, I'm expecting a lot more. And I felt that there's chunks that under-delivered. It was a good episode. Great seeing Grady and them and Leroy Skillet dancing, laughing. Good time seeing Esther talk with the group at the funeral. But that's it. It's like a cake with a lot of good icing, but then nothing in the middle. And this episode is the perfect meal. There is nothing missing. So that's why I go 8.7, 8.2. You watched last week and this week? Next week, yeah. I'll compare next week with this one. If you want to say Legal Eagle's your favorite, I'm not going to say, oh, no, you're out of your mind. If you say Wine Women, I'll say, okay, it's everyone's preference, but I just don't see what that episode carries from start to finish like this does. It's got to be in the 9s. So anyways, back to it. Who else is it but Aunt Esther? She comes in and she's like, I ain't going to lend you no money. Fred's like, look, if I wanted money, I would have just asked you on the phone. So Lamont's going to take off, and now he's got to have a little chat with her. And this, to me, is... Comment below. This is, man, I really hope a lot of these, if at any time you don't see a clip in it when I'm talking and then I have to reference back, I'll probably have to speak what I talked about, because this is a huge moment and a huge show, and Sony will copyright this to where I can't even get it on. They'll block it. So if I get blocked, I'm going to have to trim that part out of the show. So I'll have to talk a lot after the clip, which I hate because it's redundant. But it's also, if I cut it out, I want you to at least know what just happened. But this scene is one of the most underrated. When this episode comes up, I don't see people reference it enough, but it's one of my all-time favorites in this episode and between the conversation. But when they sit down, he's like, hey, I got to ask you a few things. And Fred, his first, he asks Esther, what does he say?
Ever dilly-dally while we were married? What's a dilly-dally?
What's a dilly-dally? Oh, man, I'm getting lightheaded. Whew, I'm laughing too much. But when he says, the way she's all, what's a dilly-dally? He's all, did she ever, fool around? And so Esther's pissed. She's like, how dare you? And I feel bad for Fred because at no time has this ever gone through his head. And he never I guess she figures it out later, but he never tells her, Esther, I'm only asking because someone said something. He's just going, did she ever fool around? And she's like, my sister Elizabeth was as pure as the driven snow, and so he's like, yeah, but who was doing the driving? We'll find out soon who was doing the driving, as Fred will clearly state to Big Money Grip. But she's like, no, you're ridiculous. You're a heathen for even thinking this. My sister was all these great things. And Fred's like, and she's like, you're a foul heathen. Fred's like, no, I'm a happy foul heathen. Thank you, Esther. And this is where this is why, and there's no way this was an accident, right? It's all hypothetical, it's all show. But if we look at it from a realistic standpoint, Fred, we always say, has a pretty smart brain up there, right? I got a mind full of junk, as he says later on in another episode. But right here, I think it was the one with, when they go to the Japanese restaurant with Chu, Gesundheit. So now Big Money Grip's at the door, right? And Fred's like, let me get that door. And he comes in and he's like, yeah, this is my sister-in-law, Esther. And then Grip says something and Fred says, no. What does he say?
This lady your sister-in-law?
It's my sister-in-law. I ain't said nothing about no lady.
So simple. I didn't say nothing about no lady. So now the big dilemma is with me with this show. Do I show this next scene? Right? Sony and Sony with their clips, they won't even show this scene. I know I have a short of it, and I'm just, if I put the scene in, I'm afraid it's going to get completely blocked. But we've all seen it. It's on TV. It's still on Peacock. I don't think I can show this scene because I just don't want it to get I'm tempted. Do I try it? Then if it gets blocked, I just pull it out. But anyways, Big Money Grip says, Lamont, and Fred's like, hey, Esther, I want you to listen to what he has to say. And then Esther, you let him know. And then he's like, it's very simple. Lamont is my son. And then she says,
What did you say, nigga?
I hope I got that in. Oh, man. But that is one of the funny scenes where she jumps up and she ain't taking nothing. You know she's pissed. She dropped that word on him and she is pissed. And he gets up and he's like, you know, hey, I'm not one to hit a lady, but she's like, no. This ain't happening. And Fred's like, and she's as pure as driven snow. And Fred's you're looking at the only driver, right? You can see him with the, he's so proud as he should be. And they set him straight. They set him straight. And he's like, I don't care what any of you say. And as he should, any of us would do that. I know, right? He does know. He was there. None of them were there. So he's like, I'm not falling for this. Lamont is my son. And they don't want to hear it. And what is Esther's idea? Which I always love when Esther, she says this about Grady when Grady starts problems with the family. And they almost did. Lamont stopped him. This time Fred stops her. But what's Esther's idea?
Hey, Fred, don't be bumping the hell out of here right now.
She wants to stick her foot up his butt, and Fred stops her. Then she's all, let's beat the hell out of him. Fred's just trying to stop it, right? Because Big Money Grip, as you can see right here in the picture, he runs over there. They got one on each side. Esther's got the purse. I don't know if she's got her silver-plated Bible in the purse. She's going to whack Big Money Grip and give him a concussion. But Lamont comes in. He's like, what's going on here? He breaks the whole thing up. And they're like, nothing. Fred, you can see right away. Fred's like, nothing. You know, he doesn't want it even out there. He doesn't want this to even get exposed. And that's when Big Money Grip's like, no, I'm not leaving until Lamont hears what I have to say. And that's when Fred sits him down, and what does Fred say?
He said that he's your real father.
Grip?
Yeah, me and all Esther says a lot.
Yeah, Fred stays it straight out, and Lamont, I love it. Lamont gets up and he walks around, he's all, Big Money Grip? Grip is my father? He's like, whoa, this is heavy. They did it first. It reminds me of Back to the Future when he's always going, this is heavy, right? But Lamont did it actually. This is a word before the 80s, the 70s had it. So now he's got to decide, and Big Money Grip, as you can see right there, he puts his arm around him. I love when he even rests his head on him, and then Fred like waves it off. But he's like, you have to decide. You're going to live with me or him. And the way he says him is so like putting him down like it's a bad thing. Lamont's lived with him his whole life. I'm pretty sure he knows how well his father is. So Fred's like, you know, I think Lamont would know, and like I was saying, he knows Fred is a good pop. He is a good father. So now he's got to do it, and this is it. This is my #1 scene in Sanford and Son history. You know, I'm going to try to show a small clip of it, but basically he sits him down. He's like, man, I don't care about this business. I don't care about this home. You know, and you know he does, but he means that's not eternal. That's not something that is driving me to be here. He cares about one thing, and let's hear Lamont say it, because I can't even come close.
Only pop I've ever known. Now, all my life it's been Sanford and Son, and as far as I'm concerned, that's the way it's going to always be.
Yes, you know, I mean, when I hear that, when I watched it with my kid, you know, my eyes I was already tearing up from laughing so hard, but I did get emotional. It's so great because you're like, that is a son who loves his father for everything, for the good, the bad. That's a father and son. So when I hear other people from any culture say, hey, you know what, man, what a horrible father, always calling his son dummy. No, he didn't really mean it. We know it comes from a place of love. And I've been called worse things by my father. So I'm like, sign me up, dude. I'll take Fred all day. But, you know, in the end, we see the true love. And that's what the show's always been. Father and son, right? These two guys, they're the anchor. And everything else around it is just they're all side pieces. What happens? In the end, it's always Lamont and Fred. And that's such a great, touching scene. It's my favorite scene. And when he says that, Fred's wiping the eyes. Even Esther's got the handkerchief blowing her nose. And he gets up and he's like, all right, there you go, Grip. Get your hat, you know, you can get, for everything, you can get the hell out of here. She doesn't want her. But Esther's like, no. You're not going to keep thrashing my sister's name. We're going to need you to stop saying these lies. And he's like, it's not a lie, it's the truth. And then he breaks it down. Basically, it comes down to this, because we can show a little bit of it, but he say, nope, I snuck in there one night. And then Esther's like, no, that's a lie. What room? And then he says the room, and what does Esther say?
It was the room that faced out on the backyard.
That was my room.
You're done now. Twice she's like, that was my room. And he's like, did you sleep with curlers? And Fred gets it. Fred's like, did you sleep with big curlers? But Fred says, Esther, you know what? I think that was your room. Now, he's all, be honest, because the truth will set you free, right? What does Fred also say to Esther?
What did you?
You, her,
He that
Oh, man. Esther doesn't want to hear any of it. Let he without sin cast the first stone. So she's right on all this, right? She's moved on from this. Who knows what she was thinking? I would have been like, man, who's sneaking in my room at night? But maybe she knew it was Big Money Grip and just kind of let it slide. Sneaky Esther, right? Sneaky Esther. But she's like, no, I've been born again. And she starts praising hallelujah. And she walks out. And the whole time you can see right here, Big Money Grip is just in shock. And even my son, he's watching. He's like, man, he looks so bad. He's shaking. He's like, he's shaking. He looks like he just, saw a ghost. And that's exactly a great analogy, as my son was saying. I'm like, he is shaken. He looks petrified. And then he finally breaks it down. And Fred, what does Fred have to say right there when he's about to leave?
I really do. I feel sorry for you. You don't know the difference between a woman and a crocodile.
You can't tell the difference from a woman and a crocodile. So he's out of there, and then we see him. He's like, her, me, ugh. He can't even take it. He walks away, and if you pay attention, they'll walk through the window right here. Like, here's a picture of it again, like I mentioned. But that's it. Fred's like, Lamont's like, oh, man, I can't believe it. Aunt Esther and Grip? And he's like, oh, dude. But then Fred's got some words that are really honest and touching. I love this. Let's see what Fred has to say to Lamont at the end.
How much I meant to you. And it's going to be Sanford and Son forever.
Hey, I'm really
Yes, it's so nice to see Fred say that. Right, he's honest. He's like, that meant a lot to me. And Lamont's like, hey, man, I'm so excited. Let's go out and celebrate. Let's get cleaned up and go celebrate. That's my kind of evening. Father and son going out for the night. Hey, it's almost like you are not the father. So they're ready. They're pumped to go out. And this is very few. Here's another side fun fact if you actually stay tuned to the end. This is one of the episodes I don't think there's a second, right? You know how at the end there's usually a little break. When Grip leaves or something, there's a break, and then you go to commercial and come back. It's none of that. They cut all the way through, and at the very end, when they're going to go upstairs, and Lamont says one more time, let's see it.
Aunt Esther?
And Grip.
I love that. But they go up and the credits roll. That's it. There is no little surprise ending at the end. So they got it all, they got it all in. That was awesome. It is the greatest episode. I mean, I'm crying still. From laughing so hard. It's so much fun, and there's no parts in the episode. I would probably say the slowest part, or even maybe not boring, but not much, is when Fred's staring at his son eating. But it's funny because we know he's looking at him like, he's checking the hand sizes, putting his hand next to his. He's checking the ears, right? He's doing all the measurements to see, hey, are you my son? Ears are the same, hand sizes are the same. Maybe the nose is a little different. He's checking things. And he's just trying to reassure himself. And that's hysterical. And then when he's like, Pop, Pop, hey, Pop, thanks, Pop. Did you go get the door, Pop? And he's like, thanks, son. So that's it. To me, it's everything. That's why I give it a 9.9. It is nearly perfection. It is, without a doubt, one of the fact that we're doing a whole week. We've done things where we might do trivia based on it, but we are doing a whole week dedicated to this episode because until we start our channel, when it's done, I'm going to start all over again. Right, when it's all done, I'll do the Sanford series. We're doing that. Go tune into that because this Friday, that's going away. If you love Sanford and you like to see our breakdowns, I'm doing 1 week only just to get for people who aren't members to see what to expect. Because I already have one with Sammy Davis Jr. I'm going to do another one within the next week or so where it's going to be either Cal's Diet or George's. One of those ones where we'll do that. And I love the show Sanford. But if you like that, tune into it because after this Friday, it's gone for members only for the next few years until this series is done. But I'll start all over again, and I'll try to make each one better and find improvements. But we won't get to this again for probably 2.5 years. So I really wanted to make it special for an entire week. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you. One more quick thing real fast. Power to the Foxes! Or Esther's Raiders.
Power to the Foxes.
Yes, that is to our members. We have Jim Offit, who is part of the Gray Foxes, and a new member, that is Mike Lutton, who is part of the Esther's Raiders. We have 3 different levels. Go check our community page. You can see them, or to our membership, each offering different perks and advantages. But thank you to those members. Usually, I just did it now as a fan for everyone to know. Usually, Esther's Raiders won't get shout-outs. It's only the Gray Foxes that will get shout-outs. So from this point on, power to the Foxes for shout-outs only. But I just wanted people to know, hey, that's how the memberships work. Check them out if you ever want to get any kind of extra things. And we just gave our Amazon gift card away last Tuesday to Mike Lutton. He won. And so for those kind of things, I'm going to start giving more giveaways. We're getting more views, getting more subscribers. I'm going to give more giveaways, especially when we get more members. Any member from any membership is automatically enrolled into all contests. You don't have to like, watch, or you already be a subscriber, but you don't have to like, watch, or comment like our normal rules to become eligible for the contest. So that is it. Have a great week. Enjoy our week on our channel. If you're not a member or subscribe already. What are you doing? You love Sanford and Son, even if you don't like me. We got so many things that I'm not involved in. All right? So have a great week, and we'll see you Friday. Who knows what we'll do, but it's going to be something to do with Mama's baby, Papa's baby. Peace.